Hello. This is the recording for the team of Prabhakar Mohan, Brian Kenny, and Brendan Kelly. And we titled our project, Whose Stock Is It Anyways? Essentially, our focus in our app and in our project was on working with financial data. And the scope that we undertook essentially focused on addressing the difficulty of forecasting financial market data. So notoriously, financial market data can be quite difficult to forecast. Given that in a lot of cases, actually the best fitting model for stock performance over time is an ARIMA model with a random walk, so essentially not really any indication of how that stock will perform. And additionally, democratizing access to different forecasting methodologies and market data. So frequently as well, it can be difficult to actually access different market data for different stocks, as well as forecasting methodologies. Maybe those familiar with market data don't know much about forecasting methodologies, or vice versa. So kind of combining these two sort of areas of expertise into one easy to use app. And of course, lastly, just creating an easy to use design for learning about forecasting financial market data. So again, trying to maybe make it easy to learn about how financial market data forecasts work. So here's our app. I'll go ahead and refresh and sort of set it back to default settings. And what you'll notice in our app is first on the left side here, our selection menu, and then on the right side, some information about the selected stock. So first is going to be the actual performance of this stock in the selected time period. Second is going to be the trading volume of this stock over time. And these are sort of standardized formats in financial data using candlestick charts to sort of indicate the stock's performance over time. And then the bottom right will appear the actual visualization of this stock's performance over time, and then also the forecast using the selected method on the left-hand side here. So some of the inputs that are sort of used to tune our forecasts are going to be date range. So how long are we actually intaking data about the particular stock? The number of days to forecast. So for example, if I increase this over time, then this will start to increase the length of time that the forecast is being created for, and then of course the actual model that's applied. And so for example, for Apple, if I were to select ARIMA, you'll notice this indicates that our model that is selected is a 010 ARIMA model, also known as random walk, sort of confirming the usual suspicion that stock data will usually be best forecasted by a random walk model when applying the ARIMA methodology. But actually, if we increase the date range a little bit to January of the start of this year, then we'll see that for this time period, again, not a super long time period, but actually there was an upwards drift sort of suggested here. So the conclusion to draw would be that for this time period, there was an upwards drift for the Apple stock. But again, taking maybe a longer time horizon where the data has a longer time to sort of settle and develop a longer sort of trend, you'll notice that this reverts to a 010 ARIMA model. So again, if we increase the days to predict here, you'll see essentially just a flat line drawing out. Again, confirming this idea that financial models or stock data will usually be forecasted best by a random walk by the ARIMA model. Additionally, you can change very easily what forecasting methodology is sort of being applied here, and it'll refresh accordingly. One of the interesting things or cool things about our app is that it's actually using the Yahoo Finance API to draw data. So when you enter our app, there is not necessarily a pre-selected or preloaded repository of data behind it, but instead API calls are being made to generate this data as you go. For the time being, we've added Apple, Tesla, and Microsoft as stocks to use here for testing purposes, and then for ETFs, VTI, VOO, and VUG. So again, sort of just providing access to play around with different forecasting models, change different input parameters to understand how they affect forecasts, and ultimately learn how forecasting works for financial data. So that's sort of the scope and focus that we worked on in our app and a quick demo. Thank you.